So the other issue that we see a lot of problems when we're collecting and validating data that we're receiving from suppliers is category codes. The article category list is based on the TERIC system, which is the import-export system in Europe, and it's comprised of over 20,000 overlapping product categories. So as a result, many suppliers provide inconsistent or incorrect codes here because they don't understand what this is. They don't really understand what this is, and so they just pull up the category code list from the European Chemicals Agency. There's 20,000 items on that list, and they just try to grab one that looks right, and they give it to you, when they really should be going to their import-export people to get that code. Right? So we have to help them understand this. As an industry, we have to work together. The other confusing part of this is that ECHA codes must be 10 digits. Right? So the category code's 10 digits, but TERIC codes can be less. So when people are trying to apply TERIC codes, it's confusing suppliers. And then so with these consistency issues are a problem because we don't want to have identical articles listed in our product's SCIP notification that are categorized differently, because it calls the trustworthiness of our data into question. I can't trust this data if these guys don't even know that the same part has the same code, right? And the same goes for material and mixture categories. Those are actually provided in two lists, one for material and one for mixture. And you have to provide one or the other. But many suppliers aren't even aware there are two lists, and they're just referencing one list or the other. And if they are aware, they don't know the difference between a material and a mixture, so they can't really reference the right list. So this results in inconsistency in the material reporting as well. So, and this is an example I show you here. We have two identical ICs from two different manufacturers that has lead and high melting point solder. But the first manufacturer has categorized this as a mixture, which is correct, as a soldering product. The second manufacturer has incorrectly categorized this as a tin alloy, as a material, but it was not a material. So these inconsistencies, when you load them into the database, become problematic, because now anybody who's reviewing your data set is not understanding why you determine that solder is a mixture if it's provided from one supplier and it's a material if it's provided from another, right? So if you're going to enter that data yourself, if you don't have reference IDs, you want to make sure the data you're providing is consistent. Regarding category codes, to avoid inconsistent categorization of identical articles within your product, validate those codes. Don't load your product with a bunch of resistors listing a bunch of different category codes for the same product. You know, be consistent. Avoid incorrectly identifying materials and mixtures and vice versa by validating the material and mixture categories. Understand the difference between material and mixtures, and make sure when you get data from your suppliers that they do too. You want accurate and consistent categorization across your entire data set. And just know that once an article construction analysis, you may not need to do that yourself if the supplier has not done it. Because that's how you get the SVHC concentration. That's how you determine what article you're loading in as the article as such, as to do this construction analysis. Someone has to do it. If the supplier won't, then you have to. Now, when you're applying the category codes to your product, right now, we've been talking about codes up until now, basically from the point of view of getting that information on the articles within our product, the resistors, the inductors, the LEDs, whatever I put in my product, whatever it might be that contains the SVHC. But what about my product? I have to provide that information at the product level too. I make a wireless router. Well, what's the TERIC code for a wireless router? How do I get that information? Well, obviously, the first thing I'm going to do is ask my import-export team, because the people who are importing or exporting this in or out of Europe can tell me what codes they're using to do that. They probably already have that information, and if they don't, they can at least give me an HS code, which is an international code that I can convert later, right? So if they give me the HS code, then I can go ahead and I can log into the EU Trade Help Desk My Trade Assistant tool. I'll give you a link to that as well in the follow-up documentation, where you can actually punch in the HS code and it'll convert it to TERIC for you. Or if you don't have the HS code, it actually can provide you a drill down in like an outline form where you can just drill down and find your product based on description, and it will give you the TERIC code. Now, if you find multiple TERIC codes apply to your product, list them all. And one thing to keep in mind is that article categories are always 10 digits, but TERIC codes are not. So you can see in the example here that this TERIC code for this product is 851762. But when I enter that as a SCIP category code, that becomes 8517620000. So I add those trailing zeros because the TERIC code system has variable length, but the SCIP category code is always 10 digits.
Learn more by viewing the full-length video online at greensofttech.com/videos. Plus, learn about our environmental regulation solutions online at greensofttech.com.